Yeah, but in a 40 card deck, I don't know. I'm not sold on that card. Think of it as you will.
So here we have Paragon of Gathering Mists. 4 mana human wizard 2/2. Other blue creatures you control get +1/+1. Pay 1 blue and tap him. Another target blue creature you control gains flying to end of turn. So, this is part of the cycle we were talking about before, the Paragon cycle, one for each colour. Obviously, here we've got the blue guy. Other blue creatures get +1/+1. Already good. There's a lot of blue creatures that are really efficient and can only be made more efficient by being pumped. And the fact of the matter is, he can give other things flying. So your creatures that you couldn't think of a way to get through, like say the lovely squid horror we were talking about before, give him flying. Big damage.
Yeah, it looks expensive for a 4-drop for a 2/2. You're buffing all your other creatures, so instantly that's worth it. If you've got 2 of these, they then fire off on each other, so then they become 3/3s. I love things that give other things +1/+1. You are kind of trapped into a mainly blue deck on this. If you get it and you want to play it, you're pretty much going to have to go mono blue. But with a lot of other cards that we've seen so far, I don't think that's too much of a bad thing.
And it's one of the more efficient Paragons. Like the white one we saw gave things vigilance, which is okay. This one gives them flying, which is, in my opinion, functionally better.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so next up we have Peel from Reality, which is a 2-drop 1 blue instant. Return target creature you control and target creature you don't control to their owner's hands. Very, very useful in blocking situations.
Yeah.
You can chump block one fatty and then return the other fatty that your opponent's controlling, and your chump block goes back to your hand. Things like that. You can really mess with an opponent's strategy and stuff.
Yep.
Also, if you've got cards that do things when they enter the battlefield, that can be really nice. It's at instant speed. It's 2-drop. Yeah,
it's a good card.
especially, I mean, if opponents are playing tokens, then between battlefield and hand, that token then disappears. So if they somehow made some kind of fat token,
Yeah.
really good removal. I think that's definitely something that you want in your blue deck if you're playing blue.
Agree with you 100%. Good spell. Next up we have Quickling. This is a 2 mana fairy rogue. I've gone 1 card ahead.
Well, we'll do Quickling and then I'll go back to the next one, the one before that.
So, unfortunately, we're now out of alphabetical order. My fault. Sorry, guys. Quickling, 2 mana fairy rogue, 2/2. Flash, flying. When Quickling enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you return another creature you control to its owner's hand. So, for 2 mana, you get a 2/2 with flying. Okay, you have to bounce a creature you control back to your hand on top of that, but not bad. Turn 2, a 2/2 flyer for 2 mana. Pretty efficient.
If you've got 1-drop already in play,
yeah,
very useful. It's flash. This is seeing fairies into the deck again, so hopefully this is something we've been talking about clans or tribes in the white video because you've got Kithkin back. This will be nice to see. It has the flash, so you can play it during your opponent's turn. You could even use it blocking wise, so you declare blockers, you then flash this card in onto your battlefield, and then you return the card that you blocked with back to your hand. That means nothing dies, and you get to cast that card that you put back into your hand at the beginning of your next turn, and you've got a flying 2/2 ready to attack.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that on first reading, I think if you're new to Magic, that sacrifice it unless you turn another creature you control to his hand is a negative. But when you've kind of been playing Magic for a while and you understand its abilities and things like that, it can actually be a big bonus. Yeah. So really for a 2-drop, for flash, flying, and gets you out of a predicament, or you get to return a nice card that then does something when it returns to the battlefield, I think they could have a lot of fun with this card.
Yeah, it's pretty useful.
And with fairies, of course, play them during your opponent's turn, even if it's end of turn. You've got all that mana left untapped, and then you flash stuff in.
Yeah.
They don't know what you're doing. They've got no idea. So the one we missed is Polymorph's Jest. Polymorphist's Jest. Okay, they're just trying to make me lose my teeth, aren't they? Which is a 3-drop double blue instant. Until end of turn, each creature target player controls loses all abilities and becomes a blue frog with base power and toughness 1/1. We like frogs. we do. This is kind of like a mass turn to frog. Yeah, so let's say in a situation where green mana ramp has got a load of fatties and then goes overrun, they swing in with everything. You then go, ha! Polymorphist jest. And then all those creatures that had overrun now become 1/1s. And you squash them.
The only thing to bear in mind with that is, unfortunately, this is what I have to learn recently, the way the stacking works is that the +3/+3...
would still be in effect.
I might be wrong, actually, because... Yes,
no,
the
that's an enchantment. That's an
Yeah.
enchantment, so it wouldn't be a stacky situation.
Yep,
No,
so
it's a sorcery, isn't it?
Yep, so that resolves, you then play it, they go back to being 1/1s.
So
Apologies.
it wouldn't negate their overrun. And,
No, you're quite right. Apologies.
And all abilities, so they don't gain trample as well, but they'd be 1/1s, so it's irrelevant. Yeah. Anyway, that's just a token situation right there, but I like it. It's kind of like a rare turn to frog.
Yeah, I really like it as well.
That's good in my squid deck. If you get any blues that you don't want, just send them to me at the Games Repository and I'll make this squid deck. There will be a video.
So, next up we have, now back in the correct order, Research Assistant. This is a 2-mana human wizard creature, 1/3. Pay 3, 1 blue and tap him. Draw a card, then discard a card. An ability we've seen in blue for a long time now, drawing a card, then discarding a card. Great if you've got stuff in your hand you don't really want, it's not going to be any useful to get rid of. Although 4 mana to do it is quite a steep curve when you discard it. If it was just to draw a card, it'd still be okay, but it'd be better. Whereas the fact you discard a card as well, I'm not so keen on it.
No, I think it's the icing on your cake, really, because you've got a 2-drop for a 1/3. That's balanced. That's a fair enough. If that was just the creature, we'd go, yeah, that's a fair enough defender. That's okay, we'll have that. But this kind of ability, I think it's late game, I think quite useful in pre-release or limited, because if you err on the side of lots of land, personally I play green, so I do a lot of mana fixing, I kind of err on the lower side of land. But if you like to make sure you've got your land base and you're splashing a couple of colours, could be quite handy, because later game, if you're drawing land, you kind of don't get the draw that you wanted. You got another land, alright, I've already got 5 down, don't need this one, let's just pay 4 and take another spin at the deck. Could be quite an interesting card. I think it has its place there, but once again, it's a core set, common card. You can find something more effective in standard for doing what you want it to do. So if you like it, give it a try. Right, next up we have the mythic rare soul card for the blue, which is the Soul of Ravnica. It's a 6-drop double blue, avatar creature, 6/6. We're already enjoying that. 6 for a 6/6 with flying. This is your bomb. I mean, you get this, you're in the money here. Then it's got abilities. So you've got a 7-drop double blue, draw a card for each colour among permanents you control. That's quite difficult, because if you're playing a double drop blue, you're not really going to be going 3 colours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's permanents you control, so if you're doing things like stealing cards from opponents, that could be quite handy. But yeah, bit difficult. Then you've got the same cost again. When it's in the graveyard, you can do it again for exiling it. So we've seen this in the souls. Each colour has got its own soul. Yeah, it's not the best avatar out there.
No.
Not the best soul, but
its real issue is that at its very best, its absolute best, that ability is pay 7 mana, draw 5 cards. That's as good as it can possibly get. And though that's kind of cool, and you can do it at instant speed because you can activate it whenever, even if it's in the graveyard. Okay, you have to exile it, but you can activate that one time. It's kind of useful to get 5 cards at 7, but by the time you hit 7, especially as we're talking about limited here, by the time you hit 7 mana, you're not going to have that many cards left in your deck. If you then draw 5, considering you may be playing 5 colours, that's the real downside of it. I mean, 6 mana for a 6/6 with flying.
Yeah.
Better than Mahamoti Jin.
Yeah, no, I'm having that. That's your bomb. If you get that, you're playing blue, and you're going to go, right, I'm just waiting until I get 6 mana, because that baby's going down, he's going to win me the game. Once again, we've talked about, the 5 flyer. You've only got 4 turns with that baby in play. if you've already been whittling away at your opponent, that's 3 turns once he's out that you've won. Unless they've got some kind of life gain or they can get rid of it, and getting rid of a 6/6 flyer is not an easy task. So I think definitely a winner on pre-release, but we're not going to see his drawing ability unless you get really stuck. But then again, there's nothing wrong with that. If you've finished your turn, you've got nothing in your hand, you've got 2 colours on the table, and you've got 7 mana lying around, use it.
Yeah. Drawing cards, always good. So next up we have Statute of Denial. This is a 4 mana double blue, so 2 blue, instant. Counter target spell. If you control a blue creature, draw a card, then discard a card. So 1 mana more than cancel and the other spell we saw, 2 more than negate. Counters any spell, which is useful. If you've got a blue creature in play, you get to draw a card, discard a card. So it's almost like having a cantrip on it, though you have to discard a card, which is a bit of a shame. But it's not a bad counter spell. There are better counter spells out there. It's not bad, but it's not truly great.
Yeah, I can see it having its place, but as we said before, there's more effective things doing it in standard.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a card that I'm actually in love with. Maybe it's a bit high, but Stormtide Leviathan is an 8 mana triple blue, so that's really expensive. It's a Leviathan creature and it's an 8/8, and it has Island Walk. But here's the kicker. All lands are islands in addition to their other types, so this has now turned your opponent's creatures into opponent's lands into islands. You can just walk over, it's unblockable. This creature effectively is unblockable. And then its other ability is creatures with outflying or island or walk can't attack. So that's the win. That's win condition right there. You've got to get to 8 mana though with a triple blue. You really need a lot of, maybe some green ramp or something to get into there to help you kind of get up to that. But if you can get up to 8 mana speed, if you think you can do it, go for that.
Yeah, it's a nice play on the Leviathan cards are something that again Magic has been doing for a long time. In fact, I remember Leviathan back in Ice Age. But this is a nice, efficient way of doing it, because they've always had the issue of having Island Walk. Usually it's, they can't attack unless your opponent controls an island. This guy makes your opponents have islands. So he makes his Island Walk always useful. And we've seen lots of other creatures that have Island Walk as well in this thing. The squids, for example. And it stops your opponent attacking unless they've got flying creatures, or they're playing Island Walk as well. Exactly as you just said.
This is the trigger for the squid deck.
Yeah.
This makes a squid deck an actual viable standard deck that I think mono blue playing that with a little bit of mill in there.
Be a good laugh.
Yeah.
Certainly take it to a Friday Night Magic.
Oh, definitely. I think squid deck for the win.
So next up we have Turn to Frog. 2 mana instant spell. Until end of turn, target creature loses all abilities and becomes a blue frog with base power and toughness 1/1. Great spell.
Yeah.
Pseudo removal and blue again. Your big fatty creature is now a 1/1 little froggy, which I'm going to squish with my blocker. Fun.
I'll trade off a squid for your 8/8.
Yeah.
That's basically what you're saying right there. I think it's brilliant. The only thing that would just trigger it off that little bit more would be if it was just 1 blue.
Yeah.
I think just 1 blue, because it's a
Crazy.
2. It's a 2 for an instant. Why not just make it a 1? Just for the laugh, because, I mean, this thing could be more expensive than that, and I think it'd still get play.
Yeah.
But I like Turn to Frog.
I like it.
Stick it in your deck. Have fun with it. Next up, Void Snare, which is a 1-drop blue sorcery. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Yeah, we like that. It's a sorcery, so it's not its instant speed. It's got to be done during your turn, but it's only 1 mana to play this card. It can really mess with your opponent's game plans if they just put their fatty out. They're just waiting for the mana summoning sickness to wear off. You can then make them take 1 more turn. I don't think it's going to be a game changer, but it's going to slow things down for your next draw, and then you can see what happens.
And it's nice that it affects things like artifacts and enchantments as well.
Yeah.
In some ways makes it better than unsummon, but like you say, sorcery speed. Yeah. Still.
Maybe if you're just about to go for an attack and there's something defending, like we've seen before, the aura spells that make you have to pay mana or stuff like that. It gets rid of any permanent. I mean, you could even do it on a planeswalker. If the opponent's planeswalker is just about to trigger, they've then got to go back and then start ramping them up again. So quite useful.
And next up we have Wall of Frost. This is a 3 mana cost, 1 double blue creature. Wall, 0/7, Defender. Whenever Wall of Frost blocks a creature, that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Once again, not a bad wall. Helps lock down creatures that your opponent attacks with. And it's a 0/7. That's a pretty hefty block. It stops a lot of creatures and locks them down. Even a lot of your opponent's bombs at 0/7.
The only downside is double blue.
Yeah.
So you can't just splash blue to play this card. You've got to be committed to playing blue. Although I like it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've noticed that they've taken away recently from walls, maybe not recently, but in modern play, walls can't block flyers. Classically, walls used to be able to block flyers as well.
Yeah, you got some good walls could, like Wall of Air and things.
Yeah. Right.
Wouldn't be the internet without a cat on a video.
So next up we've got Welkin Turn, which is a 2-drop blue bird for a 2/1 with flying and can block only creatures with flying. So 2-drop for a 2/1, you're going to be using it as an attack and not a blocker basically, so kind of negates the block only creatures with flying. You could use it late game to get rid of some of your opponent's flyers if they're using it, but put it in. It's a 2-drop for a 2/1. Second turn, you've played it. Third turn, you're then flying in for pecking away at 2 damage. I've won games with worse than that before.
Yeah. Really nice, efficient creature. I like him.
And then that's it for blue. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the blue cards. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've been able to watch along, look at some cards, maybe probably just listen to us in the background, really, while you're doing other things, preparing for your pre-release. Hope you have fun. Why not send us a picture of you at the pre-release? Come on, if you've seen one of the cards that we've talked about and we really like, if you have a squid deck, tell me. And we'll see you in another video, guys.
Until next time.
Go on me. Oh. Bye, guys.